Wood smoking on my dragons, divine righteous, almighty greats, overachieving, never slacking. Secrets the royal guards don't want you to know. Listen, we're gonna hop right into this. Original link will be in the description. I'm very curious to see what these secrets are. So here we go. Let's dive in.
Hey! Get back! Get back!
The Queen's Guard. No, they're not statues with big puffy hats, nor are they elaborately built robots as some conspiracy theorists would have you believe. These guys are flesh and blood, bona fide human beings, trained to the highest degree, presenting extreme discipline and self-control. They're tasked with guarding the royal family, a very high-profile group notoriously tight-lipped about their private lives. It stands to reason that anyone tasked with protecting a family with more than a few skeletons in their closet is bound to have a few secrets they wouldn't want you to know. Ready to take a peep behind the royal curtain? Let's get started. They are extremely bored. Starting it off with something that's pretty obvious, but
All right, I think we all could have guessed that one. I think we all could have guessed that they'd be bored, standing there all day.
we've managed to get an inside scoop. They report that they get horrendously bored when standing there on shift, still as a statue. To alleviate the boredom, they sing songs over and over in their heads. Some are so good at killing time that they recount entire films in their mind from memory alone.
Yeah, that's insane. That's an insane job to have. I mean, they said they recount entire films in their head?
Very few, though, have the skill to photobomb tourist photos while maintaining their professional militant posture. Most just aren't that interesting, though, and are quite content to people watch the tourists that are gawking at them as they walk by. However, a common misconception is that the Queen's Guard just stands there all day doing nothing. Although that is a pretty challenging part of their job, it is only one important facet to the complex set of tasks that involve protecting the British royal family. For instance, while on shift, they're allowed to turn to the left, march 10 paces, turn around, and go back to being still. They do this every 10 to 15 minutes so they don't feel faint or risk passing out from all the blood pooling down in their legs and feet. They hate summer. A Queen's Guard hates the summer for many reasons. The first is the heat. Wearing that bearskin hat
Wait, was that one actually passed out? If so, that's pretty sad.
hates the summer for many reasons. The first is the heat. Wearing that bearskin hat would make the sweat just drip off, not to mention make them smell a bit funky after a few hours roasting out there in the hot sun. Speaking of sweat, they're not allowed to raise their hands to wipe their brow. Ever had a bead of sweat slowly roll down?
Oh, that's brutal. I wonder how much they get paid to do this, though. Like, I'm curious how much money they make to do this, because this is a brutal job.
Down your face and along your neck? It's not a great feeling, which is why the first instinct is to wipe your brow. Sometimes a friendly helper from the Royal Family Service staff will come out to give a Queen's Guard something to drink. It's one of the rare times that they're able to break formation. Remember, stay hydrated. But the thing that irks the Queen's Guard most about the warmer weather is that the black boot polish they use, a specific type mandated by the regiment commander, melts when in direct sunlight. So, while they're on break, time must be spent reapplying the black polish and shining it up to look like a mirror. Priorities, right? Best buds with the Queen. Well, not exactly, but guarding the most famous royal family on Earth leads to the inevitability that you'll get to meet them at some point in your career. Though the novelty wears off after a while, a Queen's Guard never forgets the first time he is addressed by Her Majesty. One recounts the time when Queen Elizabeth was taking the royal corgis for a walk with Prince Philip. She came up, introduced herself, asked his name, and spent a few minutes of polite small talk getting to know her protector a little bit better. Kind of shows that the Queen isn't just a face put on stamps or the back of copper coins. She's a real person deep down, somewhere in amongst all the silk finery and extravagant hats. Why the hats? Speaking of hats, the burning question on everyone's lips: why on earth do the Queen's Guards wear hats that look like a small animal crawled on top of their head?
I was gonna say that. I didn't want to be mean.
Well, it's not a simple answer. The main reason is for the intimidation factor. Though they get more laughs and curiosity these days, the Queen's Guard of old were no joke. Let's just say they weren't as well behaved back then. And if you had a dude in a big black bearskin hat charging down towards you, he wasn't coming over to ask the time, he's looking to bust some skulls. The other reason is a bit more common sense. The chin straps of the hats aren't even worn around the chin. They're worn just below the mouth. There's a pretty good reason for this. In a time before cars, horseback was the widely accepted mode of transportation. If there were a mounted cavalry charge on any Queen's Guards defending the castle, a misaimed lance shot to the hat would send it flying off the Queen's Guard's head instead of breaking their necks from the force of the impact. Speaking of necks, one of the prerequisites for becoming a Queen's Guard is to have some fortitude in the old cervical spine. A bearskin hat weighs anywhere from 2 to 4 kilograms, that's between 4 and 9 pounds in freedom units. It gets worse though. When it rains, that matted mess of terrestrial predator fur soaks up the water and moisture and becomes even heavier. Now we understand why these guys don't smile.
Oh, these guys go through it. These guys have a tough life.
They're clenching their jaws just to keep their heads upright. No one is perfect. Though years of military training mold a Queen's Guard into an emotionless, expressionless mask of order and decorum, none are perfect. There has been more than one time that a Queen's Guard has cracked a small smile or even burst out with laughter. It's just one of those things. Sometimes the more you hold it in, the more you start to sound like a giggling schoolgirl. If a tourist takes a one-way trip to the pavement right in front of you because they're too busy eyeballing a Queen's Guard instead of watching their step, well, all you can do is laugh. No bears were harmed in the making of these hats. Okay, so we lied. Bears were absolutely harmed in the making of bearskin hats. It's right there in the name. Now, we aren't saying that hunting parties of Queen's Guards are going out night after night to track down their quarry and skin them to make the next generation of goofy-looking hats. It's the opposite. The hats are generally patched and repaired as often as possible. They need to become almost threadbare before they're replaced. This process of wear generally takes 50 or more years to occur. Such is the quality of the material and the skill of the hatter. They did try a cruelty-free approach and use synthetic fiber, but the hats would only last a few months before the black color started to run and the hats were ruined. The rifle is loaded. Okay, so you caught us out on another lie. The only time a Queen's Guard's weapon will have live ammunition loaded into it is when there is a heightened level of threat or there is a reason to believe an attack on the British royal family is imminent. Most Queen's Guards report that they have never been ordered to load ammo into their rifles, which is a good thing, public safety, no accidents and all that. They can't speak. Another entry, another lie. We have a problem, don't judge us. A mute guard would be no use at all, and get too close and you'll find out firsthand just how loud a Queen's Guard's voice can get when they waste no time shouting for overenthusiastic onlookers to move, get back, or make way for the Queen's Guard.
Make way for the Queen's Guard! Make way! Make way for the Queen's Guard!
We'd happily never utter a single word at our day job just for the opportunity to scream at our co-workers in the office to make way for the coffee guy. Imitation is not flattery. So it turns out that the Queen's Guard absolutely hate it when tourists try to imitate their trademarks.
Why people gotta be so disrespectful though? Like, why? You should definitely just show some respect. These guys have a really tough job.
Strut and march. The reason is simple. They're doing it all wrong, and a Queen's Guard isn't allowed to give any tutelage or advice while on duty. So they have to just stand and watch these bozos making an absolute meal out of what is essentially half a Queen's Guard's job.
Step up from the Winter Castle Guard!
If you had an hour to ask a Queen's Guard anything, what would you ask them? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. We really appreciate you tuning in. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to never miss out on any future videos.
That's 100% gotta be one of the hardest jobs in the world. A question I would ask a Queen's Guard. Simple. What made you want to be a Queen's Guard? Even through all the hardships and everything you got to go through, what made you want to do that? Like, genuinely. That's why I was like, was it the pay? Was it the... I would want to know. But overall, tourists, stop disrespecting these guys. Stop going there and imitating them. Their job's hard enough, you know. But, whew, man, I wearing that big beer hat all day in the rain, nah, I would definitely pass. But with that being said, guys, whew, that was secrets the Royal Guards don't want you to know. And if you are or were a Royal Guard, let me know in the comments. I'll be looking forward to it. Original link in the description. I'll be back with more soon. Much love.